Hello and welcome to the Fall Artist Focus. I'm really thrilled to be here with Jolanda Jansen today. And thank you for being here with us today, Jolanda. And that piece really takes me back to 2021. Would you like to share a bit of context about that work?
Yes. Thank you for having me, Karen. And yeah, that was like during Corona time, and in the Netherlands, we there was a special day. Then we wanted to thank the people from the hospitals, the people that have been working hard during Corona, and we were clapping for the people that worked at the hospitals. So and. Yeah, and then we had out of sight. We had it, and then we did a program online. So it was very special for me that we could connect globally. And then I did this piece. I live next to the hospital. It's like 2 minutes walk, and then also felt very connected to this hospital because you could see what happened, and. I made the birds. It's for peace, and I wanted to clap for to make aware of what the people did to make the corona to find a solution, but like never came. But like, yeah, okay.
I mean that work, yeah, I think you did that piece at midnight, if I remember rightly, where you live, and there's that beautiful moment where you're standing in front of the angel statue, it really makes, there's this relationship and connection that is being drawn between the work of the nurses, and the carers, but also like planting this sense of hope. I found it a really the this we just shared a 2-minute excerpt, but the entire performance was, I think it was 20-30 minutes, and
Yes.
you really, I remember the intensity of watching that online, and it's a very powerful piece. And I'm really delighted to be speaking with you today because you've also joined and become part of the Out of Sight Collective this year. And so part of these broadcasts that we're doing with people this fall is really to introduce the members who we haven't shared their work with. And you have an extensive performance art practice, performing in different parts of the world and the globe. And I'm just going to kind of share a few. And I think, one of the reasons why we invited you to be part of the Out of Sight Collective was because of your background in curating. And Jolanda, if you are not familiar with her amazing work, Jolanda was the founder and the organizer of Performance Site P.S. Performance art events in The Hague, and is really engaged in an embodied practice using transformation and deformations to engage with the possibility of reinvention and release from cultural determinations. Her performance work has been internationally presented at the Guggenheim in Bilbao, defibrillator in Chicago, the gasometer Oberhauser in Germany, the Arnolfini in Bristol, Scope Basel in Switzerland, and the Venice Performance Art Week, and are among the many places. So I'm just gonna and yeah, so I really like to talk to you first about a lot of your practice has been this connection between giving space to other people to present their work, and you're creating space and thinking about your own work. How do you see those two aspects working in connection?
Yeah, for me, it's always very stimulating to work together, and also to work on a project and to connect and discuss and what would work and what is not working. And because if you're alone, then it's always, yeah, you're a bit confined in your own space, like in your own thoughts. So for me, it opens up other possibilities. And I was always very, when I travel to do workshop, I did workshops with Johannes Daimling and with Western Page, and they were very inspiring for me. And then also wanted to give the opportunity here in the Netherlands for people to enjoy that. So that's one of the reasons I liked to organize these exchange. But yeah, these became very big projects. But I also like to make the little projects too with artists. I invited to make a small project, and then it became exchanging like or art, but also the personalities. And I think in performance art, you share a lot of your personality together. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And so I think that's a good point to go into the first piece, because that work was done in collaboration with others. Do you want to share the first video?
Yeah.
Yes, shall we
Let's
move
share.
to that?
Yes.
Let me just take that off and bring this up. Wow. uh, what was the duration of this work?
It was 2 hours, and it was at the opening of the exhibition. Yeah, so
In Maelstrom, the
yeah,
Maelstrom.
we called it Maelstrom, and it was in Amsterdam in Emitia. It's a bit difficult name. It's a collective space in Amsterdam, and it was with my friend Anna J. van Stuyvenberg, and she's making drawings, and I used the same technique in my performance. But she worked like for her work was very like almost meditative. She did like 1 year, and I did a work in 2 hours. So and we both created a landscape about growth and decay.
Mm.
Much about yeah, about also always the look of life, maybe look grow and yeah, and that's in performance. I also did a performance before, like growth and decay, because it's like not only like the image you make, but also where you go through in the performance itself. Like doing this 2 hours, you become also in a meditative state, and it's a lot of concentration. Also, I worked a lot with balance, and then you need to be very concentrated to be able to do that. And yeah, so I grew, and I also felt like I fall apart into this. It's about decay of the body into something of nothingness. Yeah,
Mm.
of being in a space of no time. Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
A void, or,
avoid. Yeah.
or it's interesting, because you've talked about how time is really an important element, and in this performance, very specifically, it's like you feel like there is this expansive landscape that grows within the space, both physically, but I'm wondering, I'm thinking that time almost grows,
Mm.
just kind of being like entering into that space
Yeah,
in
it's different because of concentrating and in being in the creative mindset. You get it's also very enjoyable to create it. It's very fun. I always like to do something fun that I really like. If I do performance, that works. If you do something you don't like, it's not. Yeah, could work too, actually. But like, you have to like want to do it, not like I want to do it. I think, and in this, it's like creating and people witnessing you creating, but also going through still moments of just being. And yeah, and also it was hard. I put my head in the vase, and then I wanted to take. So you always also have to do with breathing. For me, it felt like a breathing landscape. Like that's what I called it. That's what I named the performance, because it's like it's alive, but it's also showing the death. But that's part of life, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
And if you enter a state of concentration, then people also go with you, and you come in another place together. Yeah, that's very nice. If it could work like that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I loved, I I witnessed a presentation by you a few years ago, which was more of a performance presentation,
Mm.
where the paper changed color with the light, and there was a transformation of with the material of paper. And I see that happening in this performance as well. You're using, it sounds like you used very different types of paper to work with.
Yes, I
And,
did. Yeah.
some were creating sound, you use for the sound, and the kind of tracing paper. Do you want to talk about the different material elements in the work?
Yeah, some paper like it's a more chalk paper that doesn't get so much, uh, doesn't soak so much liquid, so it works differently, but it's see-through. I really enjoyed when it was on the, and you could see through it, so it becomes like another layer, but transparent. Like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and then it makes, if I would have been in a paper that was like not see-through, then it should have not worked like this layering part. So that was, yeah. And the other paper also, it's like making other sounds, yeah, and it's also but it soaks more ink, so it gets different, yeah,
Mm.
it works differently. And the paper is like, it's like such a formal use, we use it so much, less and less I would say, but we are so used to work with that. But if you transform this paper, then the it gets more alive, because normally it's like that. To me it's that material, because it's like, it's also very always in squares, very formal, so it always has something formal. And it's like, every time you start, it's like a blank sheet, and then you can transform with it, so it becomes meaningful. And I like that it has this opportunity. And if it like floats in the air, it becomes very light. But if you roll it like a stick, it becomes very hard. You can really like.
Well, I'm thinking about kind of the relationship of paper, within the circle of nature. It starts off, I always think of paper as, our connection to wood and our
Mm,
and the trees,
yes.
and how it's, and in this performance, you're, you know, you're almost realizing you're almost becoming a tree within the landscape by the end of the performance.
Yeah,
You
I really feel like that also. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, the nature of the material. I also use sand actually. Uh,
Mm.
I used it in the performance too. So I really wanted to emphasize this feeling. Yeah. So that was, yeah. And
What kind of scent did you use?
from the tree, a forest, like the pine wood trees, like, yeah.
Mm.
So,
And
but then, yeah,
how did you place that scent into the space of the
I
installation?
I just put it next to me, but there happened an accident because I put it on fire. It was like in an oil burner, like, and then with a bit of water, and then you put a drop, and then you put the candle, and then first it was okay, and then I saw it went off, and I put it on again, and then sometimes things happen like that. It caught on fire, and somebody put it out. I didn't notice at all, but like. But it smelled, it worked for a while, and it smelled like the forest also. Yeah.
Mm.
And then of course the charcoal is also wood, but it's burned wood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it has, and charcoal of it, has a symbolic meaning as well. And, were you thinking about, when you're holding up the paper there, it feels like, it's a huge whale, you
A
know,
whale.
a whale, you know, those
Oh, like,
fish
yeah.
in the sea, you know, it's
Oh, yeah. A
yeah.
big whale. I thought, okay. Ah, yeah. I saw it more like a landscape. Like I was the mountain, and then there was the, like yeah, the I was creating the landscape, like and
Mm,
making the. But like, yeah, I can see it as a whale too. Yeah, like, but it's very fluid. It was fluid. Maybe that's the feeling. Yeah,
mm.
yeah.
I love this concept of, you know, the breathing landscape and how,
Mm,
you know, that's very much connected, um, you know, both to this kind of these circular processes, you
mm,
know, of life and death. I once, a person who was participating in one of my projects, she shared that she had recently experienced her first grandchild being born. And the first thing they did was breathe in.
mm. Ah,
And
yeah.
in parallel, and then like a week later, she was witnessing her mother pass away. And the last thing she did was breathe out.
Mm. Ah.
So, you know, it's like
Mm,
breath
mm,
is the, you know, is the life force, you know, that kind of moves between different, you know, between, you know, generations, across families and across people. So it's really, I love this
mm.
poetic concept of the breathing landscape.
Oh yeah, that's also I can make a connection to. We invited. No, my friend invited someone, and I invited someone in this exhibition, and my friend invited Jelle Brandkorsius and Jeroen Torkens, and they are working on with the borealis, and the borealis is the green. Yeah, it's like a circle north of forests, and it's our lungs of the earth. And we think a lot about the rainforest as the lungs of the earth, but this space of forest we forget about, and they make. There's one of those guys. He makes photos of this.
Shall I share
For,
these? Shall I share the photos? Maybe
yeah,
I can pull up that actual photo
but
because
these
I think
are the lungs of the earth. You can see it as this. Yeah,
right,
of a
right.
breathing landscape. Yeah. Oh
Is
yeah.
is this the actual photo?
Yes, there were a few photos. This is one of the photos he made. Yeah, and this is for my performance. Yeah.
And then I think is that the. I think there was a photo to show the whole exhibition.
Yeah.
Um,
This is the work of my friend, of Anna, and she made in Norway. She made a drawing about a forest, and there was a watermill in decay, and it's going in the landscape, so you only see the wood, the wooden. So this is very connected to the work I did. So we wanted to create this exhibition together, yeah, and then invite the other artists. Yeah, and then I invited Marilyn first to do a talk, an artist talk, and then she said I never have done a work in Amsterdam, and then oh, if you want you can, and then Marilyn did the work, so it was very nice that she wanted to do, and I did a workshop with her, and it's about a lot of I worked with also growth and decay in this performance I did in the end in Venice during, and I worked on it in her workshop, and it's of course, with Marion, always a lot about time. And I went through this performance of 5 hours to with the soil and the dough. I went through a growth and decay. So for me, it was very logical to ask her for this project, and she did a performance. It's called water moving, and she put on the floor. She put every day on a different spot. We made north, west, south, east, west on the floor, and every day on a different spot. It was 6 days. She threw a bottle of water, and then she traced the water, and then it evaporated, and she watched the water evaporate, and it created this beautiful landscape also. Yeah.
And I think this is actually a great moment to segue, because you were talking about the soil and the dough in the workshop that you created with her. And, you know, materials, you really kind of take this time in your performances to develop a relationship with materials over a long period of time, you know. And I would say, you know, I think you've been working with paper for maybe the last 5 years, maybe?
Yeah, maybe long. Yeah, a very long time.
Longer, maybe.
Yeah, and then
and it's
Corona came.
shifted.
Yeah, it shifted. Yeah.
Yes, do you want to talk about that shift?
Yeah, that's very interesting because things in my life shifted. I think during the Corona period, I wanted to connect more with other people because I felt so much that we are always working, and I go from project to art project and my work, and then I felt, yeah, I wanted to ground more, and then the soil is very logical.
Yeah.
And but also connect more with other people. So yeah, I did some biodanza dance, and but yeah, and but the soil is so much like a simple. Paper is also very simple material, but we are all. I think the earth is where we grow from, so it's very connected to us people. And I always try. I like to make performances about the. I would say basic nature, or like what we are, like yeah. So
Yeah, I think this is a perfect time to actually show the images of the piece that you did in Ghana recently. Shall I bring those up and we can share those, and then you can talk about so let me just do this. So yes, this was part of a performance. This was a major shift, really, in your work, moving from the paper, the element of paper, which is really, you know, connected with the natural material of wood, and then moving to this work that really is exploring soil as a material, a natural element. And do you want to talk us, because I know there's different concepts entwined in this piece, and this was a plant that you brought from Amsterdam or from the Netherlands?
I brought from the Netherlands. No, they were seeds.
Seeds.
So there
Yeah.
were seeds. There were just little package of Dutch flowers, wild flowers. And the first, I was doing a residency. I was there for a month, and like one of the first days, I planted it, and then they grow out of these plants in like 3 weeks. So they became big already.
Very
Like, and I
quick.
wanted to, yeah, I wanted to see how it would work to grow Dutch plants in Ghana. Went very well, and I did an installation. This is an installation I made for this. This is it is about because very soon when I came in Ghana, I came to know about Asasaya. Asasaya is the goddess of the soil, and it's old tradition. And when you want to talk to the goddess of Asasaya, you have to like ask her for permission. And there was another person, a Ghanese artist, that spoke to the goddess to make it come, because I couldn't do it, because I felt very much aware in Ghana that there is certain things you have to be very much aware of, because there is a religion, there is colonialism, there is like racism, and there's a lot of things you have to think about. So it's hard to talk about these topics, but I was still wanted to try. And there was another artist that was Thompson. He was doing, he's a poet, and he was, during my performance, he was doing, reading the poetry to talk to Asasaya. And I put the plants in the different wind directions. So the north is actually at the back of my performance, and there is Netherlands. So that's interesting. And I made bags of sand to talk about time. So, and I put them open, and it's like a sand loop that's talking about time. And here I'm connecting to the soil, and I wanted to become like neutral. So I wanted to become like the soil. So I wanted not to be, oh yeah, like a person. If we all connect to the soil, we are the same. So I thought like it maybe could be an attempt to connect. And I took some sand from the beach in the Netherlands, and I traveled to Accra. That's the head city of Ghana, and there I took some sand from the beach, and I got some sand of Cape Coast, and there is Cape Coast Castle, and Cape Coast Castle is the place where the people went before they go to America. So
For the
slaves, yeah, I can
slave
get
route.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the slavery. So the slaves, and I also was very emotional actually, because I was the only white person in this group that were guided in the castle, and I felt very much okay. And that was Portuguese. We were in the castle, and there were also the Netherlands, and there were, in the end, there were the people from England. So they fighted for the castle. So yeah, but in the end, they were going through this doorway and sent to America. So yeah, it's very was very. The story became really real for me. And then I took the sand from Cape Castle, the beach, and then I put them, you saw it in the beginning, they were in 3 balls, and I put them together in a, oh yeah, yeah, they're there on the left. So, and they have different shades of color. That's also beautiful of this.
Mm.
So the
Yeah.
really white one is from the Netherlands, and then there's, and the yellow one is from Cape Coast. And then I put them together, but not all the sand, because I thought some history you should leave behind and don't touch it. That's also what I said. And then I mixed half of all, And then I, as a gesture, gave it to the public, and then I invited them to do a procession, and then they could like spread this sand. Yeah, that's here, and then they could spread it in the landscape as a little attempt to come together. And then I planted my biggest plant. It's there on the ground. I planted it in the Ghana. It's buckwheat. And then yeah, and then I took 2 seeds. Oh, I can show you here from Ghana, and now I want to plant them in the Netherlands. They are, I don't know if you can see them. Yeah.
Maybe if I'm going to remove
Yeah.
the slides so we can see them more clearly. Lovely.
Yeah, they're very
They're like beads.
yeah, and I found them in the rainforest.
Right, right.
Yeah, so it's gonna be huge trees.
Mm.
So I want to plant them. So and then this project still will continue. Yeah. And there was one woman that came to me and she said for me, oh, she really loved my attempt to do this, and she really was the first time she was meditating again, like doing this procession, and then yeah, she really thanked me for doing this. So I felt like, oh, they understood my yeah. So that was really nice. And here I go back to the ground again, and then this was the end of the performance. Yeah.
So really thinking about bringing these, natural elements together to explore, both the historical context in which colonialism has occurred, and to acknowledge that colonialism has occurred, and then thinking about, how can we forge connection with different cultures, between, how can we form community? Is that kind of the metaphor that you were exploring with the work? How would you describe what you were trying to do with the work, with the performance?
Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to do, how to form connection and how to talk, because I'm aware of the role we played, and and how can you like do make a step to that. And I also offered a plant, and it feels like really little, and it feels like really like but I think one of the things is to listen, is one is thing, and to understand and to see and go and see and then experience it. That's one thing, and then just try to talk and do an attempt to it. And that's already like maybe if you want to do big things, it's really hard, but it's like, yeah, then it's already like making a awareness for that it is like it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
so I mean, this idea of, a gentle gesture
mm,
to mind,
yeah.
and this idea of, taking, this idea of exchanging a gift, and buckwheat is also, food. It can be propagated as well. So it has a lot of other references as a plant. And yeah, so yeah, this idea in terms of, it's interesting for me that the seeds that you brought back from Ghana were trees. So again, it kind of feels like this full circle, you
Yeah.
know, and drawing.
I also brought the soil with me. I showed you before. I can show you. I brought some.
Yes, let's show people on the
Yeah.
broadcast. And it's full of, it's very sparkly.
Yeah, it was like when I came in Ghana, I was like, "There's everywhere glass. Why? There's a lot of rubbish in Ghana, but like, this is not glass. It's like the stone. So I never saw it somewhere else. So it's like very sparkly. Yeah, it's like it's another stone. It's not glass. I know now, but like yeah, but it's
Mm,
yeah. It's so different also from the Netherlands, the soil in the Netherlands. So it's, but it's still the same. So also on the beach was like, I tasted the water and the water was less salty and it was less smelly. I thought like, there's no smell here, but the seas are connected. That's how the Dutch came to Africa. With the
mm,
same sea, but it's different sea. But it's the same. So it's like, yeah, I don't know.
mm.
We are different, but we are also the same. But yeah,
Yes, and you know, I mean, it seems like it's like very clay. You know, the what you've brought. It feel, and is there, you know, it reminds me of Chris, the artist Chris O'Feely. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he used soil in his earlier work and elephant dung. And I'm wondering if there's like a bit of a mix in there of
I
those
don't know.
materials.
Maybe I saw his work, but
Mm,
not like really like having. I know an artist that puts oil on his face and transform it. I know. I don't know his name anymore. But it was more clay. Like it was more, yeah.
mm,
But it's like there is different soils. There's a lot of soils in Ghana. You have like sandy ones, but I like this clayy one a lot. But it's like if you go to the rainforest, there is also this one. So it's like I think underneath everything it's this clayish. Yeah.
yeah, and in your artist statement, you also talk about these, you know, this willingness and this openness to, you know, explore concepts of shame and fear and anger and going to these different places throughout, you know, in the space and time of a performance, and how that becomes part of the transformative process for you. And, you know, there was, you talked about, you know, the, when you were talking about the performance that you created in Ghana, you know, how it carried this shame for you, you know, and how, you know, the performance, and I think that this is a very real thing that we have to kind of confront, you know, and it's how do, you know, how do we acknowledge, you know, the horrors of our past, of our collective past, that, you know, many of our ancestors may be engaged in those horrors, or were subjected to them, depending on which side of the border you were on. And, you know, how do we, yes, you know, so is there an element where you're kind of in, um, you know, you're exploring that within the landscape of your own body, you know, when you're,
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Through childhood, I never talked about it a lot, but I went through this traumatic experience in my family, and then that comes very close. So that's why I think I try to explore who am I, what do I want. So if you go back to your fears and then your shame and your anger, then you can go through see who you are, and then it's also who you are for real and not who you are, who you want to show you as who you could be. So I always like to show who I really am, and then yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I think then I also trust. Then there's more trust. I think then you can come more together if you share these things.
Mm.
If you show that, then you can really connect. Yeah. I
Mm.
don't want it to. I think it's very. I think maybe we easily say like, oh, that's maybe too therapeutic, but I think like everybody has like it's like everybody has things they have to deal with. So I think it's beautiful way in art to like show these processes everybody goes through in life. So I think you could like hide it and say like, oh no, I'm like I show only like me on the top. But yeah, I think if you show you on the bottom, it's more interesting.
Yes, yes.
Mm,
Mm. Yeah, so well, I'm afraid we've
mm,
kind of run out of time today, and it's time for the Q&A. So if you have a question for Jolanda, please feel free to pop it in the chat. This conversation today was recorded broadcast, so that we're scheduling for tomorrow, for Saturday the 19th. And I just want to let everybody know that the next artist talk will be with Kate Barry. And I'm just going to bring up her slide a minute. So let me. And hope you enjoyed the conversation with Jolanda today. It was really great to dive more deeply into your work and your process, and we really got an intimate view when you gave your artist your presentation at Flow in 2022. But it was lovely to see the range of work and the interconnection, and this like deep explorative process with materials, and really kind of going into these deep unknown places, and how that is part of the transformative process for you. So thank you so much for sharing today.
thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.